So we will be going through some formulas on inverse trigonometric functions, which is like a quick revision for you before your tests. So we start with the six inverse trigonometric functions. Sine inverse, domain is -1 to 1. Range is the closed interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Cos inverse, the domain is the closed interval -1 to 1. Range is the closed interval 0 to pi. So sine inverse and cos inverse have the same domain. Only the range for sine inverse, it is minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Cos inverse, it is 0 to pi. Then tan inverse, the domain is the set of real numbers. Range is the open interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Cot inverse, the domain is set of real numbers. Range is the open interval 0 to pi. So again the domain is the same for tan inverse and cot inverse. Only the range for tan inverse is minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, and for cot inverse it's 0 to pi. Then sec inverse, the domain is the open interval minus infinity to -1 closed at -1 union 1 to infinity. The range is 0 to pi by 2 union pi by 2 to pi, not including pi by 2. For cosec inverse, the domain is minus infinity to -1 union 1 to infinity, and the range is minus pi by 2 to 0 union 0 to pi by 2, not including 0. So again the domain is the same for sec inverse and cosec inverse. Only for sec inverse the range is 0 pi minus pi by 2. For cosec inverse the range is minus pi by 2 to pi by 2 minus 0. Then sine inverse of minus sin x is minus sine inverse x. Cos inverse of minus x is pi minus cos inverse x. For all mod x less than or equal to 1, that is nothing but the domain of sine inverse. And tan inverse, it's minus x is minus tan inverse x. Cot inverse minus x is pi minus cot inverse x, where x belongs to R, which is the domain of tan inverse and cot inverse. Cosec inverse minus x is minus cosec inverse x. Sec inverse minus x is pi minus sec inverse x for all mod x greater than or equal to 1, which is the domain of sec inverse and cosec inverse. So these help you in finding the principal values. They are very useful, these six formulae. Then we have cosec inverse x is sine inverse 1 by x if mod x greater than or equal to 1. Sec inverse x is cos inverse 1 by x if mod x greater than or equal to 1. That's same as the domain of sec inverse and cosec inverse. But cot inverse x is tan inverse 1 by x if x greater than 0, and pi plus tan inverse 1 by x if x is less than 0. Then I have sine inverse x plus cos inverse x is pi by 2 for mod x less than or equal to 1. Tan inverse x plus cot inverse x is pi by 2. Sec inverse x plus cosec inverse x is pi by 2. So basically sine inverse plus cos inverse, tan inverse plus cot inverse, sec inverse plus cosec inverse is pi by 2. And this is all within their domain. Then tan inverse x plus tan inverse y is tan inverse x plus y by 1 minus xy if xy less than 1, and tan inverse x minus tan inverse y is tan inverse x minus y by 1 plus xy if xy greater than -1. Then I have 2 tan inverse x is sin inverse 2x by 1 plus x squared. 2 tan inverse x is cos inverse 1 minus x squared by 1 plus x squared. 2 tan inverse x is tan inverse 2x by 1 minus x squared. Again, all within the domain. These are useful in solving problems when you have 2 tan inverse x to convert it to sin inverse, cos inverse or tan inverse. Then I have sin inverse x plus sin inverse y is sin inverse x root 1 minus y squared plus y root 1 minus x squared. Sin inverse x minus sin inverse y is sin inverse x root 1 minus y squared minus y root 1 minus x squared. So there is only a difference of plus and minus here. Again, cos inverse x plus cos inverse y is cos inverse xy minus root 1 minus x squared into root 1 minus y squared. Cos inverse x minus cos inverse y is cos inverse xy plus root 1 minus x squared into root 1 minus y squared. Again, there is only a difference of minus between the cos inverse x plus cos inverse y and cos inverse x minus cos inverse y. So I hope these formulas will help you in practicing problems before your exam. So do practice. That is the only way you can learn mathematics. Thank you.